Today I'm gonna make the weirdest lemonade I have ever made. And to make it, you will need 3 whole lemons. So to start off with, what you're gonna do is you're actually going to grind up the entire whole lemon, plural, all 3 lemons, like peel, pith, and everything. And I know that you're like, oh, that sounds absolutely nasty. And the answer is, it's not if you like bitter things. It's not like super bitter, but like I don't think a child would like it, is the level of bitterness that we're getting at here. So basically, when you start with your lemons, you're gonna wanna like wash them really carefully, obviously because you're gonna be eating the peels. So I just kind of hold them under running water and I like scrub them really hard, like with my hands. If you have a stiff brush, you can use that too. Then what I do is I cut off the ends because the ends are basically all pith and you don't want to drink too much pith. It's not good. It's really, really bitter. Then I cut them all up into quarters so I can more easily grind them up in my blender. Well, that's actually a food processor. I think you're supposed to use a blender, but I don't have a blender, so I just use this food processor, which is very nice and was a wedding gift because I don't think I could ever afford something like this on my own. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, I don't know why, like my mom had one of these that I think she also got as a wedding present, and she also had like a horrible time assembling it, and also like my mom got married in 1988. So I don't know why Cuisinart didn't make these easier to assemble at any point in the intervening 34 years, but they didn't, and it's always still kind of a pain, which is sort of why I pre-assembled it. All right, so the next step is you're gonna wanna add 1 cup of sugar. Just get this out of the way. You can, of course, add as much or as little sugar as you want, but I am a very strong proponent of always doing the recipe as written the first time, just to kind of know where you're at. So maybe start with 1 cup and then see where you want to go from there. All right, now to give it a little grind. To give it a little grind. And the next step is to add, the recipe calls for 4 cups of water, but because I'm using a food processor and not a blender, I can't actually fit 4 cups of water in there. You see there's a liquid max fill line. If you go over that, it will go everywhere. Just trust me on this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add 1 cup of water. And grind that all up again. All right, so this is never, ever, ever going to be perfectly fine and smooth. Obviously, you're gonna end up with little chunks of pith and peel in there and blah, 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 and all that good stuff, and the ground up seeds and everything. So the next thing that you are going to want to do is strain it. I would strain it into a pitcher, but right now my pitcher is full of cucumbers and water, so can't use that right now. Doesn't that sound fantastic? I love the way that sounds. It's so good. Doesn't sound like diarrhea at all. And you'll want to leave this to strain for a while. Now is probably a good time to start cleaning your blender or food processor. It's gonna take a little while to strain. I usually just leave it for about the entire length of time it takes for me to clean everything. Probably if you had some cheesecloth, you could just dump everything in the cheesecloth and then twist it around and squeeze it out that way and it'll go a little faster, but I don't have any cheesecloth, so this is what I'm doing. It's been about 10 minutes, so I think this is probably about good. So the original recipe that I used when I first made this said to add 4 cups of water, like total, and I did that, and I found that it was kind of like just absurdly not good. Sorry about all the lemon chunks in my sink, just try to ignore those. So I usually end up adding more like 6 cups. I think that's much better. So I'm just gonna add 2. Just pour it right on through the lemon bits that are already in there. Get those good oils in there. 2, 4, 5. That's pretty good. Now, the recipe I followed originally did say that I could save the whatever you would call this and use it for other things, but I can't possibly imagine what use you could have for this, so I just pitch it. So at this point it's done and you can go ahead and serve it and put it in the fridge and cool it down, or like whatever you want to do with it. Add gin to it, it's great. But I am going this time to add some strawberries that I accidentally froze by getting distracted and putting the strawberries back in the freezer instead of the fridge. So I'm gonna crush those up and add them. I'm adding the frozen strawberries now. If you're gonna do this, trust me on this, run them through the blender before you try to add them. Otherwise you end up with just these huge chunks of strawberry in there that's disintegrating and gross, and you have to strain them out. And I mean, not that I would know that from personal experience or anything, but yeah, just trust me on that. Gotta admit, this is some pulp I could see myself saving for other uses, like eating, just straight up eating it, just spooning it into my mouth. I'd do that. So update to the, yeah, I would just eat this thing. My teeth are absolutely fucking full of seeds. Don't do that. God, look at how backed up my sink is. Just be careful with strawberry pulp. That shit kills, apparently. I decanted the strawberry lemonade into 2 bottles. It looks really good. I normally would not store it like this, except my pitcher is full of cucumbers and water, as I said earlier, but for some reason that didn't quite register with me at the time that I wouldn't be able to put my lemonade into a pitcher that was already being used for a different thing. So anyway, I put it into these bottles. You can see there's still some seeds and stuff in there, some pulp. I could probably have strained that out, but to be honest with you, I'm just going to be drinking this myself with my wife, so it doesn't really bother me that that's there. But if you were going to be serving it to someone who is bothered by seeds in their teeth, maybe like run it through another strainer or a piece of cheesecloth or like clean t-shirt or something like that. There you have it, strawberry lemonade made from whole lemons. You can also add a little sprig of mint if, like me, your mint plant turned out to be a terrifying overproducer and now you have more mint than you know what to do with.